Yeah, I wanted to throw this one on the board this week for a couple of different reasons. I came across an article, full credit, boundingunicomics.com supplied most of these this week because I thought they were all interesting talking points for us to break down. But they interviewed, I think it was Chuck Dixon they had over there, who was telling them what he would do in a modern Superman movie to make it something people would want to watch. And he said, it seems simple. You kick it back old school stuff and have Superman fighting giant robots and just doing Superman shit, saving the kid out, from the falling from whatever, getting the cat out of the tree, doing something where he's intervening on, cops pinned down by automatic gunfire from bad guys. You get back to basics was his point. And I thought that was an interesting take on that because I think that's a smart way of looking at it. I think we've all seen enough CGI cities bulldozed to the ground in these movies. And I think that it'd be a really nifty take on Superman to do, the strongest superhero they have, but with the smaller stakes of not leveling the entire city or the planet cracking in half. But I wanted to ask you, if I gave you $200 million, say, and gave you total creative control over cast, writing, whatever you wanted, how do you make Superman doable in 2023? How do you make that a thing people will go see and not be too cynical, too jaded, say it doesn't work? I'm putting you on the spot.
So Superman 2023.
Yep, it has to be 2023. It can't be flashbacks to 1950 when it came out and nothing super future. Like, it needs to be modern era, we'll call it. So I'll give you 10 years either way, 2013 to 2033, if that makes any kind of difference. That's a tough one.
Yeah, well, you could definitely play, since he is an alien, we could definitely play into the new race into space, and they find a piece of Krypton on Mars.
Okay.
Or not Mars, but the moon. Like
wherever.
The recent moon landing.
Yep.
And then they bring it back, and they find a way to infuse it into a human to make their own type of Superman. Like a way to try to reverse engineer it into the human genome. And then try to take power, you could say. And then it has to be Superman, like out in the desert, Superman versus reverse Superman in a fight.
So that's your villain. You're going reverse Superman. Cool.
Yeah, I think that would work.
Okay.
That or
solid take.
I mean, if you want to use some classic, like you don't want to use any of the big guys. Like you don't want to use Darkseid. You don't want to use Brainiac. Yep. Like you want to save those for Justice League type events.
Mm-hmm.
If you're even if you ever go back to that, as we noticed that DC does not do team ups well unless it's animated.
Yeah.
It's hard because he's so overpowered. It's hard to come up with a solo movie for Superman. Like they did it with Lex Luthor, but Lex Luthor was working out of the shadows in the first one, and in the second one you brought in General Zod.
Right. And there were 3 of them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you would have to.
And the less we say about 3 and 4, the better. We don't talk about Atomic Man or whatever his dumbass name was in Part 4. We just don't do that here.
Yeah, the search for peace.
Good God. Anyway, yeah, I've been thinking about this since I put it on the topic list, and I struggle in a lot of the same way. And I think it's kind of a sad commentary on our ability to tell stories present day, because we may get a little gun shy about putting out stuff that may come across as naive or a little too vanilla because of who he is as a character. I mean, at the end of the day, he is, unless they gray him up, he is fairly like two-dimensional as the good guy. He'll always do the right thing. He'll always make the right decision. And I think that until we can get rid of some of the cynicism that kind of is pervasive into movies now, it would be a tough thing to throw together, because I don't want to see Superman have to break the other guy's neck to resolve the conflict. Like, why aren't we in a place where Superman saves the day by doing something intelligent and just being better than everybody else? You know what I mean? Because he's fucking Superman. That should be how that works.
Well, I mean, if you want to get super cynical, since it is 2023,
Injustice.
Yep, you could do the whole Injustice storyline.
Yeah. Now, see, I'd be okay with that in a world where everything else wasn't basically injustice by default. You know what I mean? Like I'd be okay with that, but I don't need that now. Later, I could do that later. You know. But another interesting note on the Superman topic, I was seeing some things out of the usual corners of the internet that said James Gunn walking back the talk of, oh no, I'm definitely not making a young Superman movie. I never said that. And I'm thinking to myself, well, okay, because now I have to ask, if that's not the movie you're making, then why'd you fire the King? Well, why didn't you bring him back? You know what I'm saying? Why is Cavill not part of this if that's the point? If you were just making a regular Superman movie, Cavill's still built like a brick shit house, like we all know. You know, he's got the chops, he's got the look, he's got the fan backing. He doesn't need any gray at the temples or gray in the beard or anything. Like, this isn't Kingdom Come Superman. This could still be Superman in his prime. This reeks of missed opportunity to me. Reeks of missed opportunity.
Like, we've had this discussion. I told you, it's the new GM coming in who wants to bring in his guys. He's trying to erase the Snyderverse, and when you see Henry Cavill as Superman, you're going to think Snyderverse. He wants his DCU now to be his, so he wants his guys. He doesn't need the heroes of ages past. So
let me run a counterpoint to your sports analogy then. How many times does a new GM come in and trade LeBron or trade Kobe Bryant or trade Kevin Durant instantly? Like, they get rid of garbage, they get rid of problem players, problem staff.
That's not true. That's not true.
I mean, what was the last big athlete that got booted first year?
Look at a team that's going into a rebuild.
Okay.
We'll take my team. We'll take Detroit Tigers. Going into a rebuild, new GM. First thing they do, trade away Justin Verlander for assets of younger. Then they trade away Max Scherzer for assets of longer. Then they trade away three of their other pitchers for assets for younger. Now, his trades were garbage because out of all the people he got for them, but the idea was they were going into a rebuild. He's going into a rebuild, and you gotta dump your high priced talent to bring in your own people, and you start over.
I get that to a point, right? I get the rebuild analogy, the scenario, but I wonder if that needed to be as strictly applied to something like movies, where I get trading for younger talent because the idea is you're trying to build your franchise for like the next decade.
Yeah.
Cavill in 10 years could still be Superman and finally be Kingdom Come era Superman. I mean, we're only talking about a movie every other or every third year anyway. It just seems, I just think that there's a part of me that'll never be over them, the old regime having him back at the end of Black Adam, the reassurance of fans that I'm back, and then somebody just looking at that and then going with the scenarios you put in. Like the sports analogy of just cutting loose and keeping very specific other things that we're just going to build over, not really with. There's no way they're framing any of this around Blue Beetle. Like oh no, we're just keeping that because maybe it's a hit, maybe it's not, and if it is, great. If it's not, we'll just never mention. It'll get memory hold. We'll never mention it again. You know, and then we go from there. I think that's the fate of Blue Beetle as it pertains to the DCU going forward. But yeah, I don't know about. I mean, James Gunn is going to do James Gunn stuff.
Yep.
I'm not sure if I want to see a superhero movie like that